get set, where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
We have a lot of debunkers going around on the internet at the time of this recording, debunking people that they feel are not true martial artists, good martial artists, or whatever they're teaching is a scam and could end up getting people hurt. Now, let me start off by saying that I don't necessarily think that the debunkers have bad intentions. I think they do have good intentions. And if I'm going to stereotype and paint with a broad brush, there is one area that I think the debunkers are totally right about. And I'm going to say that for last. But let me say this in general. You cannot take these debunkers' word for it. Everything, practically, just about every debunker video I've seen, okay, the people that they're criticizing, it's usually someone that's popularly criticized. But a lot of times, when you go in person and you check the person out for yourself, you might actually end up learning something from that person. The best approach to take is the Bruce Lee approach. You take what's useful and disregard the rest. And you should do that with anything. If you are looking for a shortcut to who should I train with, what type of training I should take, what type of martial arts should I study, I'm going to give it to you right now. This is what I think everybody should do. Everybody's not going to do this, nor does everybody want to do this. I've written as much when they had Yahoo Answers. This is what I think everybody should do. Everybody should get at least a black belt in punch kick art. Everybody should get at least a black belt in some type of wrestling grappling art. Everybody should take some type of Western boxing. And then from there, you can go on and pick up a weapon or two. Or if you want to go internal after that, do that. If you have the time, energy, resources, and ample opportunities to do that, that's what I think that you should do. What order? This is just my personal opinion. Mine. Okay? My personal opinion is that you should start off in punch kick first. Did I do that? I thought I did, but apparently I did it because, come to find out, I took judo lessons when I was a toddler, and there may be no record of it because I was not supposed to be in the class, and the instructor was allowing me in the class unofficially. So throws and moves that I was doing on people, I thought I was making those things up. The only thing I remember taking when I was little was some Okinawan karate from a guy who was dating a woman that lived 2 houses down from me in the country. That's what I thought I knew. Some wrestling and a little bit of boxing from my brother. I thought he was just making the moves up. He took some judo. But I noticed the reason why I say do punch kick first is because when I see people that start off with too heavy of a grappling focus, they seem to have a hard time giving up that grappling range and moving back in the striking range. Or they don't appreciate what would have happened to them if they were actually allowed to be hit by some of these traditional moves. Or they may think because they may be able to take out a low-level striker with their grappling, that means that they can take out a proficient striker. And we now have the evidence that no, that's not the case. I'm not going to say how. You know how if you've been watching combat sports in America and not just stayed in one box. You have some ideas as to how that's been proven and how it really should be no doubt by now that it's not the style, it's the person. Okay. My experience with debunkers are wrong, and you can't just trust me, you have to look for yourself, is I'm gonna give you my brief George Dillman story. This is my brief George Dillman story. I saw George Dillman on the internet. I was like, this is the stuff I've been looking for. It's hard to believe that he's doing this stuff. Oh my goodness, right? But seminar costs too much. It's not in my area. I'm not going to go. So then one of my friends and mentors went And he started on me. You got to go to George. You got to go see it. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go see George. You got to, you got to, you got to, you got to. So I inquired of one instructor I had at the time. And he was talking about, oh, George Dillman is dangerous. I don't like the way he's doing this stuff. I just think he needs to take more care. And then I said, so I guess I'm not going to go. He's like, oh, no. You should go. You should go. You should go. Definitely, you need to go. Because I don't have time to cover that right now in class at your level. But no, you should go. I just, just have my opinion. And I'm like, you just told me a bunch of cons, but you still told me to go. And usually when I start getting two different people from different leanings and ends and don't even know each other start telling me something, I'm like, oh, I'm probably supposed to go. Maybe God's trying to tell me something. But still I resisted. And eventually the budget worked out, the money worked out, the time worked out where I could go, so I go. So then I get there, and I'm standing there and I'm watching it. And I'm seeing people being knocked out. And I didn't believe it. He even knocked out the guy that's standing next to me. And then I still didn't believe it. And then he finally started the knockout on me. He did the first hit. I'm like, I could shake this off. I don't even feel anything. Then he did the second thing. And I was like, well, my arm's a little numb. But you know what? I've been under adrenaline. I could fight this off. This isn't going to do anything, right? So then he does the third part. And I'm like, oh, this is... I'm like, I'm paralyzed. I'm saying I did the false out. That didn't happen at first. But I was paralyzed like in an anime movie. It was just like in Street Fighter 2.5 or 2V. I think it's Roman numerals for 2.5. When Dalsum does a paralyzing strike sequence on someone and the guy can't move. All the guy can do is talk. Right? It was just like that. And if you had told me that would happen, I would have told you were lying. I wouldn't have believed you. I did not believe it until it happened to me. And I was like, oh my God, this stuff is real. And so I'm fighting it. And I can feel the more I fight this, the worse it's getting. And he's like, man, stop fighting it. I've stopped the flow of your energy. Just go with it. So then I go with it and I'm on the ground. And then they got to help bring me back and stuff. Really, it would have resolved on its own, but they had to help bring me back quicker because they brought me back really, really quick. And then the dude that was standing next to me said I was faking. And I was mad. I was like, I'm not faking. But the dude standing next to me was mad. But I couldn't be so mad because I was standing next to somebody that got knocked out. And I thought that was fake. I'm standing right there. And then I get knocked out. Then I know it's real. So my point is, and then I started studying the method. Now, I'm not in George Dillman's organization. I consider myself to be someone that he knows. I know him, and from time to time we've corresponded. But I don't have rank from George. So there's no real incentive for me to... There's nothing in it for me other than I think it's the right thing to do to say anything positive about Grandmaster George Dillman. I just think it's the truth. And I'm telling the truth. And he's just one example. He's not even the person that's being debunked the most right now on the internet. Okay? And then I was like, am I being, it really? And then the more I started digging, I found out two things. I asked someone in my family that's a grandmaster. And he said, oh, George is nothing but the truth. And then I find out there was this one instructor that my mother always swore by, but she never told me what his name was. She just said it was that guy in Pennsylvania. And she said, if you ever decide to get back into martial arts, because I had gotten out of it, once I graduated high school. She said this through high school. And she said, if I had the money, I would take you and leave you with that guy in Pennsylvania. With the man in Pennsylvania. He knows it. Whatever it is. And the other, she has some choice words for her opinion of most instructors. I'm not going to reveal those. Plus, she's going on to be with the Lord, so she can't defend herself. But suffice to say, it was him. I found out it was him. When I did some research, started talking to people, series of newspaper. I even looked up old newspaper articles and then talking to people that were around at the time and people who lived in the area at the time and talking to older practitioners. She was talking about Dillman. She was talking about George Dillman. Now, the debunkers do not like George Dillman. I don't care. I know the truth, and I'm telling you that it works for him. And the reason why I say this is because my advice is you got to go and check this stuff out for yourself. Now, I did say that I was going to say where the debunkers are right. Most of these debunkers have a grappling bias. They come from a grappling background, and they typically are MMA. And what they're right about is this. Grappling is a good thing to study, and everybody should study it. It's a good way. It's one of the best things, and this isn't even my idea. This is from a Grandmaster Van Canna. I used to go on his forums back when we were Internet 1.0. The good thing about grappling is that it is about as close as you can get to how it feels to be in a fight without taking percussive damage. And you're going to get winded, and it's going to suck, and it's going to feel terrible. I mean, just like when the first time I did Nagi no Kata in judo, it's like I felt like I got beat up, but I don't have any bruises on me. But I felt like I had been in a fight. When I'm on the Taekwondo side of the house, and I do that, and I'm stressed and breathing to that level, there's going to be some bruises the next day. If not, then. And there might be some soft tissue damage. Also, grappling is great for when you don't want to really hurt the person, but you have to restrain them. Sport grappling is good for that. And a lot of times, if you can do a sport grappling, a lot of the come along stuff and the small joint manipulation to me is easier when you're more confident with the broader the gross motor movements. When you're more confident in that, and you don't mind being up next to somebody sweaty and them on top of you and you're trying to hold them down, it makes applying those small joint manipulations a lot easier, in my opinion. So you have a broader tool set to use. You can punch, you can kick, you can throw, you can pin. You should do that, and you should still study those traditional forms. Those traditional forms are a repository, a database of movements that you can use. Now, one thing I'm saying the debunkers need to remember, a lot of them may not be around, may not have been alive to remember this. Once upon a time, grappling was bad. Everybody who knew anything about fighting said that grappling don't work. They probably didn't call it grappling. I think they were saying, if you're trying to wrestle, you're trying to grab people, that stuff don't work in no real fight, man. You should just punch them. Just go back to either boxing or karate or some kind of kung fu. And if I were to base it on what I've actually seen people do in actual fights, I gotta say, in actual real fights, sport grappling techniques, no. And those debunkers had all the ammunition they needed to debunk the grappling, because a lot of times they were right. You try to grapple with somebody in a real fight. Every time I see somebody trying to grapple in a real fight, they get the paws put on them before they could get close enough to implement their thing. But guess what? Guess what happened? The more I study, the more in the long run, I've had to encounter situations where I couldn't afford to put the paws on the person, but I still had to stop this person from hurting me or someone else. So what do? And I haven't practiced the Aikido type techniques long enough to be really good at them. What do I do? And sometimes you might even hurt someone with that small joint manipulation. What do I do? And I don't have the authority to get away because I'm a civilian. I'm not a police officer. I'm not working security. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Hmm? You tell me. That's why it's good to Bruce Lee, Jeet Kune Do this stuff. And that's why I said in my Bruce Lee versus Vic Moore video, I like Bruce Lee, but I like Vic Moore too. And if you can't handle that, that's your problem. Everybody has something good to say for the most part, you know. If you're supposed to be so modern in whatever you're doing and you love Bruce Lee so much, then actually do like Bruce Lee said. He said, if the name Jeet Kune Do becomes a thing, then let it be wiped away. If people say Jeet Kune Do is this and Jeet Kune Do is that, wipe it away. And I don't even consider myself to be a Jeet Kune Do practitioner because I don't have Jeet Kune Do certification from anybody. But I consider myself to be someone who goes, I like what Bruce Lee said about that. And also, if you looked at what he said about the forms, didn't he say, if you reject the classical approach as a reaction, you merely create another box and trap yourself there. So get out of the boxes. Okay? And bottom line is this. If you just don't like what somebody's doing, if you're looking at it and it just don't sit right with you, then don't train there. But you can't, well, you can, but I don't recommend just going off of the recommendation of somebody that's online, including me. Hey, you may feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. And you know what? That's fine. But I'm saying what I'm saying. I've said what I've said. I've been through it. So now it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to do it. Peace. Oh, thanks for watching this video, etc. I teach classes, etc. You know what to do. If you're sophisticated enough to listen to all this video, then I think you know how to find out if you want to take lessons from me. Peace, and thank you for your time.
And while they were here, they always wore masks.
Just get the damn vaccine.